how much revenue did you do in the property maintenance company? Because you were like 18, 19, 20.
Yep. We were somewhere in the $2.5–3 million range.
In revenue?
Yes.
Our contracts. You grew a company at 18, 19, 20 years old to $2.5 to $3 million.
Yes. We were doing 205 house condos. We were doing Lowe's, Home Depots, Walmarts.
Dang, dude.
Post offices, you name it. And then our biggest one was a massive mall.
You're an impressive dude, bro. My audience is going to stop listening to me and just start listening to you after this. What is up? Welcome back to the CA Power Player Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins, and today we are live in our brand new studio at Cody Askins LLC. Loving the new space. Love being in the office. I was literally just doing a coaching session for our Ultimate Agent Academy in here just the other day, and I'm excited because we have a guest in office today, which is amazing. You guys know I love interviewing, but man, interviewing in person is so much better. And so from Fayetteville, Arkansas, we first met, I believe, at 8% from Lineage Legacy Group, Anthony Aach.
How you doing today, Cody? Thank you for having me.
Dude, thank you, man. Welcome to the podcast.
Appreciate it. Looking forward to today.
Absolutely, man. You're Fayetteville's a couple hours.
Yeah.
Right? Pretty
2 hour
close.
drive.
You were in PA before that. Mm-hmm. You also, did we know each other before you came to the 8% conference?
We knew each other last year's 8% is when we first met.
Okay.
Yeah.
So last two.
Yes,
8%.
I was at the last two, and then the road show in New Jersey of 22 is when we first actually met.
That's cool. Was that in we said it was a Philly event, but it was in Cherry Hill.
Yes. Yep.
That's cool. Okay, so Cherry Hill led to 8% and then another 8%. Dude, that's awesome, man. That's really cool. Lineage Legacy Group. That's a unique name that I haven't heard before. I'm excited to share your story with our audience. Before we jump, what was, because we got a lot of questions about, hey, I need to name an agency. What should I do? Where did this name come from?
Really, like the lineage, like somebody's lineage, like they're protecting their family, just growing that and protecting them for generations to come is why we chose Lineage, and then their legacy is what they want to leave. And then obviously just group is what we're a part of. So we wanted to make something that touched home, which is why we came up with Lineage Legacy Group. I
like it, dude. It definitely does that. How long have you been in the industry?
I've been in the industry for just shy of 2 years. Been doing insurance.
So you were pretty new when we had first met then.
Yes.
Yeah. Just shy of 2 years. And what did you do before?
I had a property maintenance company in Pennsylvania.
Property maintenance?
Yes. So I was an arborist, and I did commercial snow removal and landscape construction. I did that for a couple years.
Dang.
And so we did all major work. So malls, condos, any big time jobs is what my company did in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Started my senior year of high school, and then I sold it off to do this.
And you it was your company?
It was my company. Yep. I started with a hand-me-down truck, corded tools.
How old are you?
I'm 21 as of July. And that company, my biggest contract was $2 million for snow removal.
Dang, dude, you are 21.
Yes.
Dude, oh my gosh, man. I'm 12 years older. I'm like your uncle over here, man. I'm like Uncle Cody, man. I wish I was, dang, dude. I wish I was 21 again. What's it feel like to be 21, man? I don't even remember anymore.
Well, after that business, my body hurts. I feel like I'm not 21.
Yeah.
But
you said snow removal.
Yeah, landscape construction. So we
did landscape construction.
So we did boulder walls, retaining walls, patios.
Wow.
Any type of construction work.
That's a cool, like accomplished. You feel accomplished, and like you can look back and be like proud of your work. So that part's cool.
I love working with my hands and like seeing somebody's vision come to real life.
That's cool.
Yeah, but it took a toll on my body, so sold it off and joined my mom in the insurance industry, even though I didn't want to for a few years, which is why I did my own thing.
Yeah.
And I fell into something I really enjoy here.
I love it, dude. Yeah. That's phenomenal. And so you've been doing it. So senior in high school is when you started the property maintenance.
Yes. Yep.
And
during
then,
COVID, I got bored.
Yeah, dude. I don't blame you. I got bored too. And then you got into insurance just shy of 2 years ago.
Yes.
What did you start out selling in insurance?
I started Medicare at another company prior to joining my mom. And then I didn't like it. Wasn't the comp level wasn't there, and never really got fully started because they were new. So I switched over and have been doing life, and now I'm finally doing IULs and annuities.
Dude, I love that too.
That's what I love the most.
Dude, there's some it's important because everybody cares about their retirement, which is cool. They care more about their retirement as from a selfish standpoint than leaving their family money, right?
Yeah, it's weird, but that's what I've enjoyed the most because like they see money in the growth. So let's do this right now, even though I can die tomorrow. Let me grow wealth for the future.
That's phenomenal. Yeah, and we actually have some like state pension, state employees that actually book appointments on advisors' calendars, and the advisors that are running them have a 22% booked call rate selling IUL, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So it's super unique. It made me think about that but I also, the IUL and annuity space, by the way, for those who are listening, like, dude, it has my attention in a big way. There's a ton of money in it. You can do a ton of good, and people do care about it. And it's kind of elevating from being like a final expense agent or a mortgage protection agent. You know what I mean? It's more sophisticated. I don't know if that's a good word, but yeah.
It allows you to branch off because a lot of the time I'll do an IUL client and then branch off and do final expense for them or family members, just have separate.
Yeah.
Allows you to branch out a little bit more and you discover a lot more income and money when you're starting off that way versus going from final expense up.
Yeah, it's hard. Like if you're my final expense agent, I'd be like, okay, now you want to manage my money? You know what I mean? Versus the other way, it's like, oh yeah, you want to take care of burial? No big deal, right? Yeah, I mean, that makes a ton of sense. I can see the psychology from a prospect thinking that way. Yeah. How did let's go back. So 2 years, when you first got into it, you were selling Medicare, another company. You were not working with your mom at that point.
No.
What attracted you to the industry? Like, how long has your mom been in it?
She's been in it since 2019, right before COVID hit.
Okay, so she just got in it just before you.
Yes, yep.
Her name's Wendy.
Wendy.
We've met. Amazing. She's really cool. Great personality.
Switched over from law over to insurance. She retired, got bored.
She was a lawyer.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep, big time U.S. attorney, and then retired, got bored, and transitioned over into insurance. She just kind of happened to fall into it. And then I saw the freedom she had and everything she was doing, and I'm like, okay, maybe there's onto something. Yeah. And then I looked into it, and she tried to convince me to join her for a while, but stubborn me at 17 years old, I didn't want to. I wanted to do my own thing. And so did that, and then had a lot of hard issues from doing that company. And so I had to stop. And then I was like, okay, I want to go into insurance, but not with her. So let me try Medicare. And a good buddy of mine, who's a mentor from when I was young, put me into Medicare at a company he was associated with, and then just didn't fall in love with it. Took a massive pay decrease from obviously owning the company to being more of W-2. And I just couldn't do it anymore. So right away I switched over to my mom and have been doing life since February of 22 is when I started, but didn't write my first policy until May.
Got it. So it took a second. Okay.
Yeah.
And then didn't write for. I'm going to make a note of that because I want to come back to that in a second. You also talked about how much revenue did you do in the property maintenance company? Because you were like, what were you, 18, 19, 20?
Yep. So we were somewhere in the $2.5 $3 million range
in revenue.
Yes. Our contracts.
You grew a company at 18, 19, 20 years old to $2.5 to $3 million. Dude.
Yes.
Did you have any other partners?
No, just myself. I would team up with obviously different contractors for bigger sites. Like when I did malls, condos, we were doing 205 house condos. We were doing Lowe's, Home Depots, Walmarts.
Dang, dude.
Post offices, you name it. And then our biggest one was a massive mall. And that's where our big money wasn't spring, it was winter. We had a lot of trucks, machines that went out. In the winter, I had 20 to 40 guys work for me. You're
an impressive dude, bro. Jeez Louise, man. My audience is going to stop listening to me and just start listening to you after this, you know? $2.5 to $3 million. You said 30, 40, 50 people. Were those employees or 1099
Those were 1099 contractors for the winter.
Any employees?
Yes, we had about 6 all year.
That's great, dude. Gosh,
it's just our biggest time was the winter. We could get away with 2 to 3 crews in the spring, summertime. But when winter came around, you had 24 hours to clear hectares of sites.
What was your best year from like a P&L standpoint, like revenue and profit?
It was my last year when I sold off, when we had those contracts. So
that was 20.
That was 20. 1 into 22 winter season.
2021.
Because I closed off. The reason why it took me a little while to start writing insurance was I was finishing up all my sites, closing out the winter contracts, and then trying to learn this industry.
Yeah.
So I took that time, and that's 21 to 22 winter is when it ended.
Okay.
And that was our biggest year.
What you say biggest year? What was it?
That's when we hit that $2.5 million mark.
Yeah. And then how much was in profit, you think?
I'm not sure on the profit, but I know in those snow contracts, the one was $1.5 million, and we probably brought home around $600,000.
Okay.
From that for just about that's from November to April.
So you definitely made
Yeah.
$600K to $1 million bucks. Yeah. Dude, how'd that feel?
Incredible. Definitely did. And
at such a young age, man. That's super rare. That's like winning the lottery. You know what I mean? What you pulled off was like literally like it sounds cool when I'm like, hey, I made 117 grand. Yeah, no. You did $2.5 million. Like, we were the same age. Actually, you were younger. This keeps getting worse, man. Like,
one thing I know, biggest lesson I learned from that is managing my money. I was young and dumb, and so not a lot of it stuck.
Yeah.
From a longevity point. So that's something I definitely took out of it, and I'm doing differently in this business. First one taught me a lot. If I continued with it definitely would be different. I would want to start it again as another branch of my overall companies.
So you're talking about managing money. What are some of the things that you did poorly? And it's right. I mean, it makes sense, dude. You own a company doing that kind of volume at that age. I would have blew every cent.
Yeah.
For sure. And yeah, you maybe did too. I don't know. Did you sell it?
Yes.
So you then sold it to someone else?
Yeah. So it wasn't.
Got it.
It's because of the contracts and the way everything was worked. We mainly sold some of the contracts as well as every equipment and some employees with it.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. That's how I got out of it.
Was the price that you sold it for disclosed publicly or private?
Private.
Got it.
Yep.
Understood. I won't pry then. How about that? I'm just impressed by this, dude.
Yeah.
Like I like tapping into people's stories and like what they've accomplished and what they're doing. You didn't write. I'm gonna go to the managed money. I'm gonna come back there in a second. You didn't write your first policy for a month.
It was 3 months. It was like February to end of April, beginning of May is when I actually started writing. I took that time to underwrite for my mom, learn all the products. That was my biggest key. Is I learned every single product before I started writing because I had the cushion for my winter seasons in the business, so I didn't have to make the money right away. So I took that time to learn and practice.
It's true. And do you think agents should learn everything about the product before they start selling?
I think you should have a couple that you're very comfortable with. Not everything.
I agree.
But just have a few that you can rely on, and then you can learn the rest as you go. And I've now moving to Impact. I have so many new carriers. I went from like 6 to like 15. And so I'm relearning everything. But in the beginning, I took like 2 or 3, like what is my final expense? What's my term? And then just grew from there.
And you like learning?
Yes.
About new stuff. I can kind of feel it because you kind of light up when you talk about
Yeah.
it. Like me, learning a new product, I'm like, I'll fall asleep, right? But it is important, and the fact that you're also a learner. Couple of comfortable things there. Before I jump to the managed money piece, one of the things that I was thinking about is 3 months as you're learning, didn't write a policy. There's a bunch of agents that can relate to that, by the way. We had one of the agents on our Ultimate Agent show. They went literally like multiple months, 3-4 months without selling anything before they came on the show. And then they did like just shy of 10 grand on the Ultimate Agent reality show, which is what we teach in our Ultimate Agent Academy. What advice would you give to someone to get off to a fast start and actually make some money? Because you were in a position where you didn't need a bunch of money, but there may be other people that are not in a position to where they can go 3 months without a paycheck.
Yeah. Honestly, it's working for yourself. For me, I always did it, but working outside, having set deadlines, seeing the work, it's a lot easier working for yourself that way than it was switching over to working at home in the comfort of your place, trying to stay on track. And I have really bad ADHD, so it hit hard.
Wow.
And so trying to stay focused was a challenge. So
Is yours prescribed?
yes.
Okay.
Yep. I've had
People say I have it. I've never been diagnosed, but
we usually get along when you're neurodivergent, you attract others.
Yeah.
And so keeping spontaneous, things like that. I have had 12 concussions, so I developed a lot of neurological issues. Mm-hmm.
the freak did you have 12 concussions from, bro? Do you play in the NFL?
Sports. I was assaulted when I was younger.
Gosh,
So I had a few things that happened. Yeah, but
wow.
a little bit of a clutch. I was nicknamed Bubble Wrap for a reason, but I had to get back on track with like discipline. So that was a big key: is schedule, discipline. Don't do everything when you're home. Everybody's going to think you're going to be able to do everything for them.
Yeah.
Just because you're home and not at a 9 to 5. So setting those boundaries are key, and knowing that what you put into it is what you get out of it. So if you're working, it's not how long you sit at your desk for. You could sit at your desk for 10 hours and got 2 hours of productive work done.
True.
So it's how intentful are you with what you're doing?
Yeah.
And I see a lot of new agents, even my new agents, spending a lot of time, but not getting a lot of work done in that time frame.
Yeah.
So they draw things out, and then they're afraid of it because they see a lot of time spent, but not activity and no results because of that, so they leave.
How many agents do you have?
I'm at 6 now. I had 15 going into this year and did a refresh stage.
Well, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
I like it. And you're actively adding agents?
Yes.
Like if somebody hears you and they're like, hey, I like this guy, I want to work with him, they could reach out?
100%.
Cool.
Partnered with you, did some, and that's how I got some of my new agents, was through a partnership, and I'm loving it. It turned out really well, and I love teaching people. Like that's what my key thing was in my last business. I helped a few others start their businesses, mentored them. It's a big passion of mine to give a gift and the knowledge I have already
Yeah.
to pass it on.
Do you see yourself eventually like speaking, coaching, training,
Yes.
that kind of stuff? And
That
giving
is
back?
my
Yeah.
biggest goal in life, is to be able to.
Bro, let's go. We got to keep hanging out together then. Okay.
Hey, I'm only 2 hours away.
That's it.
You can always
man.
come up.
That's right.
But I love being able to pass a gift on and just give somebody knowledge. I have so much more to learn, which is why I'm here with you and go to your conferences. But
Thanks, bro.
I like to see others achieve things. And if there's something that they don't know but I know, I want to pass that on to them.
Yeah. Dude, it's special too, man. Like when you get to, like I always say, if you're down and you're unhappy, go do something good or nice for someone else. And it just fills you up and makes you feel better, you know?
Seeing that smile on somebody else's face, achieving something, doing something for their family, that's a warm feeling that you get. It like
Yeah.
they did. It's like you can accomplish something. For me, I've accomplished some things, and it's not as great of a feeling as getting somebody else to accomplish something.
Yeah. True. Yeah. Gosh dang, it's 12 concussions. That still blows me away, man. And you're like running this interview freaking better than me too. You know what I mean? Like, dude, you're doing amazing.
You're going to cope with it.
Yeah. You said you were bad at managing money.
Yeah.
What did you mean?
So a lot of money came in, but a lot of money went out. So whenever I saw new equipment or things, I would just buy it. Maybe not the best financial decisions in that aspect.
A little more careless
Yes.
because it was available.
Yep.
Okay.
And I was young, grew up with money. Money wasn't really an issue. And so I didn't have much of a value on it. So that's a big thing that the business taught me was responsibility, how to manage things, how to rely on yourself, how to get things done. And so managing the money is what I slowly learned how to do towards the end of it. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't what I knew going into it.
Quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather, if you had a chance to work with and help one of two people, someone that, or who do you think would naturally be more successful maybe? Someone that grew up with money or someone that grew up without it?
Double-edged sword on that one.
It is, because you said you grew up with money. My dad was making almost $1 million a year when I was in high school. Like, did we start out when I first born with nothing? Yeah, but I saw him progress and become successful. Maybe similar for you.
Same thing for my mom.
And a lot of people in the out there would say, like the Gary V's, would be like, dude, I would take the person that grew up freaking broke and homeless and had a crazy past and has nothing because they're going to be hungrier. It's like, dude, I don't know. I've never met anyone as driven as me to achieve success and help people. And I grew up with money to a degree. Now, did my parents flaunt it? No. My dad would make $1 million and drive a Lexus. Mm-hmm. Did they blow it? No. Were they financially responsible? Yes. Did they manage money really well? Yes. Better than I have so far, right? Thoughts?
That's the exact same thing for my family. And that's how I saw growing up. We grew up into it. And same thing, $1 million a year. And so that's how it was, but it wasn't flaunting, nothing. And so it's how you're raised. For somebody on both sides, you could be just as hungry regardless of where you came from. For me, I grew up being known as my mom's son. Like everywhere she went, she was top 100 attorney in the country. She had a name. and I didn't want to live underneath that. I was appreciative of what she accomplished, but I want to achieve that success for myself and my future family. So it made me super hungry because I saw the work it took, and it meant the world seeing what she did for us. And so it made me very hungry. And I've also known people that have had that same lifestyle but want handouts, that believe everything should be given to them just because of their status or it was a family's money and they treat it like it's their own, versus on the other side of people with no money, they could also play the blame game of why me and the victim and don't go out and get hungry, or they can turn it like a lot of my friends have and have achieved a lot. I have a lot of friends that grew up with no money and have $1 million businesses right now at 20 years old, 19 years old.
You got, dude, between you and everybody else you know, they just, people make money when they hang out with this guy. That's what I'm learning.
Big thing I live by is you are the sum total of the 5 people you hang out with, the closest.
Amen.
And so if you can't associate with people where you want to go, you're not going to improve as much as you would around them.
Yeah.
And so I'll take both, but I care more about your mindset, not your past. What are you looking to do? What are you able to do?
Yep.
Not who somebody is.
Totally. I can also relate to everything you're saying too, because my dad was the top GM with a company. You talk about top 100, right? Out of all attorneys, he was the one of the top, and then became the top GM of a certain company he was with, right? Over the course of like 13 years, and progressed from like last in the country to first.
Wow.
And you see that also when I get in the industry, people are like, Brian's son, which is amazing, right? I freaking love my dad. He's accomplished a ton, learned a ton from the dude, great mentor. But at some point, you do want a name for yourself. Like, I would say that Donald Trump's kids are some of the most impressive, like, not really young adults anymore, right? They're older now, but like crazy impressive and can achieve a bunch and can start probably whatever and be successful at it, But they've technically been under his shadow their whole life. Now, I definitely wanted to stand out, so to speak, and create my own path and be my own person. So I can so relate so much to what you're saying. Like, people always ask me all the time, like, bro, where does this drive and hunger and focus come from? It's like, I don't really know a lot of times, because I can't pinpoint and say, well, it was this one thing that happened to me as a kid. No, dude, it's a culmination of a lot of stuff, and you could probably relate to that too.
And I love, it's not ever to discredit what our parents have done.
No.
Or to try to say, oh, I want to be better than them.
I hate when people do
yes.
that. They're like, I don't want to be that person, or, well, I'm going to be more, like, no. And too, I heard something, T.D. Jakes said something today that I love. Bishop T.D. Jakes, love listening to this guy. He said, you should want better for your child than you had, and it should never be a competition, and you should never try to hold them back. And I'm like, dang, dude, there must be people in the world that are like holding their kids back, or that are like still be better than them.
It's such a sad thing to see, which is why I love to coach and mentor. I have a lot of friends that I'm like almost a father figure for, because I grew up without a dad. Oh. So I like to kind of be that comfort for somebody they can rely on, because a lot of time the parents will not like give to them, or they'll try to keep them in the same place. You always, every conference, everything I see with you is you cry and get so emotional when you talk about your parents. So you're always giving credit to them.
Yeah.
No matter how much you've done, you're always going to give it back to them. And that's
true. I'm getting goosebumps. You're taking me back there.
I always cry when I talk about my mom. She's done so much for me, turned me into who I am. And so there is no point of success if you can't be grateful for where you came from and who got you there along the way.
So true. Yeah.
So it's never a competition on who can do better. It's just, I saw this, you did amazing. I want to go out and achieve that, and also represent the name on the back of my jersey.
Yeah, totally. I had somewhere I wanted to take that. I freaking blanked because you did such a good job, and I was like, just
sorry.
No, you're good. This is good. And as you can tell, like, I think this is important for the audience. I try not to prep and script too many questions, because I want to see where the conversation takes us. And I think that's important in, like, you can't totally script out your first year in the insurance business. It ain't going to go how you think it's going to go. Your business. Dude, you didn't think you were going to build a $2.5, $3 million company in the first few years at 18 years old when you first founded, 17, 18 years?
I was bored because of COVID and I didn't want to stay at home. So I went out and just did something that I knew how to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, I'm onto something. Was in college for a month. And I was like, well, this is COVID. I'm online. I can't even go to school. I have my mentors. Was in it for accounting, finance, and economics. And I'm learning business from people that didn't even have one. But I have all these mentors that have multi-million-dollar businesses that I can just learn more from.
Yeah.
So I made the conversation with my mom, and she was like 100% on board. So I dropped out and just pursued business hands-on from then on and just met with people. And that's biggest lesson for me because I had real life experience right off the bat. And can't be afraid of failure. I failed so much. I've had so many trucks break down. I've had to just figure things out because that's how business works. And that taught me more than just learning things from a textbook. That's the way it worked for me, and that was better in my realm.
Yeah. You mentioned you grew up without a dad.
Mm-hmm.
Explain that.
My father committed suicide when I was 7 years old.
Oh, my gosh.
And
dude.
so...
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. I get emotional. It was just September was 14 years for my dad's passing, and it's...
When was?
It was September, beginning of September.
Got it.
And I wouldn't change it for the world because I know he's looking over me from heaven, but it taught me a lot growing up. It was hard. My mom took a role of a dad and a mom and still ran a law firm. Mm-hmm. So I never saw her. My grandparents took care of us a lot of what my mom provided. Yeah. And she was always strong, and that taught me how to be a strong person, how to be a man. And I was the person everybody relied on and the man of the house since I was 7 years old. So that's why I was able to go out and do the business and things like that, was because I'm used to pressure. I'm used to responsibility for my family, not letting them be let down. If something needs to get done, it was me. I learned how to work with everything in my hand. During COVID, I was bored and finished our entire basement from start to finish because I had no clue how to do it, but I taught myself because I was bored, and I'm used to taking care of my family.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, sorry you went through that too.
There's a lot of lessons that were learned that made it worth it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that'll be able to relate to your story, and the fact that you're open to talk about it and share that, and be vulnerable says a lot about you, because there's so many people in the world that go through, and we rarely understand what somebody else has gone through, or we forget to realize too that, like, I need to talk about it because somebody else can relate. You know, like I was in a retreat in Nashville one time, and I was sharing a bunch of stuff that my wife and I have been through the last 6-7 months. And somebody walked out to me, like outside, like, you know, and wanted to give me a hug and was like crying because they were going through a bunch, you know, relationship wise and spouse and all this stuff. And it was crazy. But it's those kind of things that, like, I am more attracted, and I think others are too, to those type of people that aren't using as an excuse. Mm-hmm. They're not talking about it because they're complaining. They're talking about it because they want to share it and help somebody else. And I think that's super powerful.
I've never wanted to use anything, and that just scratches the surface. Everybody's been through something, and there's a lot of factors into it, and it's just, I hate using things as a crutch.
Yeah.
But talking about things is big, and I know with me, I've dealt a lot with mental illness touches home. I've struggled very hard with it, and it's sometimes hard to talk about, but I like to share it, and I saw my dad go through it and the effects of that. And I've helped already a few people. I was at a conference last year and stood up and talked about my mental health and what I've struggled with. And a lot of men have came up to me after to talk about it and sit down and open up about it. Wow. And that is impactful, because if I can share what I've gone through and it could touch somebody at home, or feel that they can open up to me and have somebody, because a lot of men don't like to talk about their emotions. They don't feel like they can. Yeah. So if I can, and I just actually today made a post before I came here, was I just wanted to check in on all my brothers, and my door's always open, my phone's always on, whiskey's always on ice, beer's always in the fridge, and coffee's always ready. Don't ever feel like you're going through something alone. I'm here even if I don't know you. You have a place to come and talk to, because I never want to leave somebody feeling like they're alone.
That's such a mature thing to post at freaking 21 years old, bro.
I love to help people, and if I can give somebody a safe space, it means the world to me. Helping people was, I feel like, why God put me here on earth, is to make an impact in somebody's life. It's not what have I done, it's what can that do for somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. You also mentioned mentors too. And someone that really like your mom is crazy tough, by the way. Like, she's awesome. Reminds me a lot of my
She's
mom.
an insane one. We call her Wonder Woman.
I love that. Did you have, I mean, your mom mentored you.
Mm-hmm.
Have you, and you had other people that you were able to go learn from and seek, and you want to help others. How important is it for an agent? Because most agents are all over the world. Like, we literally had a couple people yesterday from Jamaica and another country that joined our Ultimate Agent Academy. Just wild.
Incredible.
Man. Incredible, right? There's so many people that are alone. They're in a random place or they're wherever. And they don't have a mentor, someone they can ask questions to, someone they can look up to, especially in this industry per se. How important is it to, and I do this because I want to be that for millions of agents around the world, but how important is it to plug in and find someone that can mentor, help, and coach you through this process?
One of the most important things, I think, is having somebody, a mentor, somebody there that will guide you along the way, because it's new territories no matter what you do. And I even bet you have a coach and somebody that you look up to.
Yeah.
I have a coach. Everybody, no matter how high up they are, has
Three
somebody.
people came to mind when you said it.
Because you want to grow always. No matter what you've achieved, you have to learn.
Totally.
And having somebody, especially in the beginning, that has been through it, that can offer you advice, steer you in the direction. Yes, I love learning from failure, but sometimes if somebody can offer you something to get through that failure before you have to go through it,
Yes.
it's a lot easier than going through it yourself. Your progress is going to go much faster. And just having somebody to bounce ideas off of, hey, this isn't maybe a good idea. What if you think of it this way? Just like that tweak of mindset, especially when you're having a bad day, that's a rabbit hole you go down. Or a few bad weeks. And if you have somebody there pushing you, guiding you, coaching you,
Yeah.
even if it's personal coach, if it's a mentor, if it's just listening to you online, just someone to get advice from, because
Yeah.
you always got something to learn. So
True.
that accelerates the growth, and I think new agents is the best thing to do. I have my agent do mindset every day. I focus on that a lot. Every call I start with is a motivational video to get everybody ready, because you're going to have those bad days, and if somebody's there to pick you up, it's going to make it go a lot easier.
True. Yes.
I love mentors. I've had them since I was young. I took over my mom's friends. I'm like, she brought a lot of people into my life. I'm like, I like them. I want to learn from them. And I went on their coattail and learned from them up until my business. And I keep doing that because why not? Like, you got to learn. And that's why I sat front row with you this year. I'm like, what could I pour out of these people now?
Yeah. What would you say to the person that thinks that they're going to figure it all out on their own?
Stubborn, waiting for a rude awakening.
Yeah.
Because I love hearing people that say, I'm self-made. I don't think anybody is ever going to be truly self-made, because somebody, even in the worst moments, people that have told you off, whatever it is, they were a part of that growth, part of your success. So nobody can do anything alone.
No.
Somebody is fed into that somehow.
Yeah.
So I think it's ignorance, and you're waiting for that awakening to come, that you're going to realize you can't do it alone, because at some point you're going to fail and know that you need somebody to rely on.
So true. Yeah, so true. Also, too, when they're looking for a mentor, should they look at someone that is a mentor, someone who is less successful than you, farther ahead in life than you, on a similar playing field as you? I don't see a lot of people go backwards when they're looking for advice. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think you should always, like I said, be around the people you hang around the most. So if you want to be successful in whatever realm that's in, find somebody that has that success. They need to guide you, and if they haven't achieved it themselves, how are they going to find a roadmap for you to get there? Because they haven't figured it out themselves. Otherwise, they would be too. So
True.
You can have running buddies, accountability partners that are at the same place with you, but the people that you learn from and want to look up to for advice have to be farther ahead of you, or at where you want to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that too.
But I think you can learn from everyone, but as your solid mentor, I think they have to be ahead of you, is my belief.
And a running buddy is different than a mentor. You know? Yeah.
They're not there to teach you and coach you. They're there to keep you going, have a little friendly competition, and keep you in the weeds and get you going every day.
Yeah. What's your thought on competing against other people in life? Like, here's an example. Patrick Bet-David has a book called Choose Your Enemies Wisely. And he actually thinks that you should have enemies to a degree. I'm not saying like you want to kill them, right? But enemies, as in like I have someone that is pushing me because I want to beat them in some way. What's your thought of that concept?
I say to the people that think having enemies are a terrible thing, then why do you watch sports? Well, if you didn't
I know
have
we were
enemies,
talking about Cowboys and Eagles
yeah,
earlier.
exactly. What would you? There would be no fun in it if there weren't enemies, somebody
Amen
to chase.
that.
We're not saying
So is
make
it
it
less
terrible.
Is it less fun to have to for everybody to win, or for just someone to win?
It's if it was easy, if there's no competition, everybody would be doing something.
Yeah.
So it creates that hunger, and that's what's really important is having something to chase. Not saying be terrible, beat your enemies down, but like,
Right.
what are you chasing? Who's there that's ahead of you? Now that makes you want to go after them. Just like us, what we said with our parents. That
Yes.
fueled us to want to achieve that. So you're chasing something.
Mm-hmm.
And
you know what I feel like I'm chasing a lot of times, and I feel like I talk about this all the time. Is I feel like I'm chasing the version of me that I haven't met yet. You know what I mean?
I thought about this coming in here is, I assume you listen to a lot of David Goggins.
Yeah.
And you know in his book when he talks about when he was asked what is his biggest fear in life, which is when he gets to heaven and he's shown him, he was like, that's not me. All of these things that he's achieved. He was like, I'm just a mechanic. I didn't run these ultra marathons. What are you talking about? He was like, no, that's who you were meant to be when I put you on earth. And he was like, when I leave this earth, I want God to keep writing the pages because I've already lived out everything he's written on a book for me. I want him to open his book up, keep writing, to continue it on because I already achieved it.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest fear of mine is going to heaven and not being who I was meant to be. That's a disappointment. That's my fear. I'm scared of things, but that is what is terrifying to know is for eternity, I didn't live up to what I was supposed to, and I was only there for maximum 100 years maybe. Limited amount of time.
I can agree with that so much. It's crazy. There's a basketball movie called Coach Carter. I was a basketball guy growing up. And he would ask the players, what is your deepest fear, young man? And they didn't even know how to answer it, you know. But I would say that's certainly my deepest fear too, is like, I don't want to look back, right? Whether I'm in heaven with God looking back on my life, or I'm 75 in 42 years, 56 years for you, 42 years for me. And then I'm looking back and thinking, did I do everything I could? What kind of life did I create for me, other people, family, team members, and how many people did I help along the way, you know? Or was I super selfish, which I've been at times, that's for sure. Did I, when someone reached out for help, did I stop and help them, or was I too busy? Did I neglect important relationships? Was it always about money? You know what I mean? Like those are all the types of things that like play around in my brain when I think about, because really, I tell people this all the time. When you talk about success and money, this has been such a good banter, by the way. I don't know why.
I enjoy
this
it.
has been one of my favorite podcasts I've done in a while. And it's been a banter that like I can participate into, which has been cool. You know, we're not sitting here talking about the cap rates and annuities or something.
And it's not just like questions. It's just going back and forth, and we're just kind of rabbit holing, which is what I like.
Amazing. And if you guys are loving this, let us know in comments below as you watch this later. It's because like I tell people this all the time. Like I am trying to see who I can become, you know, and I feel like there's a lot of people that end up being just more successful in life that don't want to just float through life and be another person. They want to be like, I had a pastor a couple years ago that said at a men's conference, he said, maybe you're just fitting in when you were truly called to stand out, which you heard me say that 8%. Maybe you're just fitting in when you were truly called to stand out.
It's terrifying to look back and know, like, to see, like, are you just fitting in? Are you just doing the run-of-the-mill things? Like, for me, everything I've done, like, I'd like to be different. I like to stand out, not for recognition, not just because I'm like, oh, I want everybody to see me, but it's like, I don't want to do the same thing that everybody else is doing. That's not fun to me. That's not why I feel like the purpose of life.
Yeah.
To wake up, do the same things every day. And I don't know. I think it's scary for me to really look back and know, how much did I improve? Did I improve at all?
Wow.
And that's scary sometimes. Like, that's what pushes me too, is staying the same.
Yeah. Do you ever get to the end of the day and you like lay your head on the pillow and think, what did I actually accomplish today?
No matter how much it is.
Yeah.
You could achieve so much, but
Is that a problem? Like you're talking about
Yes.
mental illness, like
Yes.
never being satisfied.
yes.
Like
that is
no
something
matter
I struggle with.
Dude, me too. No matter how much and I'm not saying that's like a form of a mental illness because I don't think it
Yeah.
is, but I think it can cause other things too because I'm never satisfied and happy.
If you like dwell on it and then it becomes negative, I think it definitely can feed into mental illness because you're not being grateful for things. But it's a big drive. But
Yeah.
I was going to ask you the question on if you gotten through it, if you struggle with it, because for me, my value, I feel like I've only had value is what I accomplished. What could I do for somebody?
Yeah.
And that's even in school. Being president of multiple clubs, captain of sports teams, you name it, I always had to be doing something and achieving things for me to feel like I have worth.
Yeah.
And that's what drives me a lot is it healthy sometimes? No. Is it something that a lot of people struggle with? Yes. And I think
True.
the more successful you get, the more things you do, you see your potential, and everybody can look at you and say, well, you're doing amazing, you're achieving more than anybody has before. And I'm like, yeah, but I know, but I didn't do these things that could have led me farther. Like I know last year, like I was one of the youngest top producers at my last IMO.
That's awesome.
In my first year. At 19, I just turned 19 and 20 years old when I finished it. And I'm like, yeah, it felt good for a second. But I'm like, but I really, looking back on it, slacked off on a lot, and I could have pushed harder and have done a little bit sooner or done even more volume. And I just saw my flaws. And that's something I've worked through a lot this year, is giving myself grace.
That's cool. I didn't used to do this, but now we have this 8% goal tracker, and I think it's in our store on our website, and I'm writing down what I'm grateful for. I've always written down goals. I wouldn't say every day forever, but for years, right? Short-term goals, long-term goals, today's goals, all that. But I've started also writing what I'm grateful for each morning, and it forces me to think about something or someone that I'm grateful for, and it forces me to put myself in a positive state and realize, man, dude, you have this, because I honestly, I feel like we do this company does about $8 million a year. I feel like we're an $80 million company, and we just got a big old knucklehead running it that doesn't know what he's doing. I literally believe that. It's part of the problem probably too, but I do that because it puts me in a really good positive frame of mind, and the energy in which I do this and in which I do this and run our office and talk to our sales team and walk in with, dude, it's so freaking important.
A lot of them, when you look around at people that are negative and you see what's going on, like a lot of their problems, when people come to me about stuff, I'm like, instantly I tell them, like, what are you grateful for? What do you even think about gratitude? Like, everything I'm hearing from you is negative. Why this? Why that? Oh, it's their fault. I'm like, but if you just focus on one thing a day of just, I'm thankful that I'm alive. I'm thankful I have a mom. I'm thankful I have an opportunity. Like, switching a negative situation to positive got me through a lot of struggles. And like this year made me a much better person when I was grateful, less negative. People love being around me. It's just, you bring a different type of energy. And that's the same thing with you. Like, you
Thanks, dude.
are always grateful. And I love that. And I love to be around people that have that energy, because it means that they're not just focusing on themselves and their problems.
So easy to do too, though, right? Focus on us and our problems. And you know what? Our problems still pale in comparison to somebody else's. That's for sure too.
But it's never good to compare your issues to. Everybody has their issues. It's just recognize them. But that's a negative thing, is like comparing it to somebody else's, whether it's greater or less.
True.
Don't make yourself feel bad. Know you have them, but what are you going to do about them?
Yeah.
Or is there a lesson you're going to learn from them?
Yeah. You mentioned mental illness, which is something I've stayed away from for the most part about talking about. I've started talking about it more the last couple of years. I feel like progressively more, just because I didn't realize how depression and suicide and all that's like an all-time high for kids and children, which is crazy and super sad.
so much, the social media and the way everybody's comparing themselves.
It's
and
constant.
like, I know I put a lot of pressure on myself. I was talking to one of my buddies that has a big company in PA for same thing as what I did. And when we were in Costa Rica, because we actually just went in October
I love Costa Rica.
because we burned
bro.
out. Oh, it's gorgeous.
Gosh, I love Costa Rica. I'm going to go back. Let's go back now. Tomorrow?
Alrighty, let's go. Where's the
You
plan?
guys joining us? We'll fly
We're live from there.
Yeah, we'll fly private maybe. We'll go live from the plane. I don't know.
And we were talking, it was just like, we have to give ourselves grace because we're seeing everything we know we can become, but we realize, like, hey, we have to play our hand. Like E.T. said at the conference, is everybody has a different timeline. And so we've done a lot. We know we can do a lot more, but maybe right now is not it. Doesn't mean we should slow down and stop, but recognize, hey, I'm guilty of not enjoying the ride and chasing a goal. And I know the whole point of everything is the journey, not the goal.
Yeah.
It's always going to move. And made time go by really fast. But we're like, hey, we got to slow down and appreciate what we've done and recognize, otherwise it's going to go blow by and we're not going to know why we did it. And that was huge. And that was where gratitude came in for it all.
I love that. That's so good. Yeah, so good. One thing too, when it comes to mental illnesses, I didn't realize the amount of people that go to counseling or therapy, or you know what I mean. I always tricked myself into believing that it was weak to emotions, like you said earlier, right? As a man, but also just to like open up and share. But I've tried. You know what? But I think that's one of the things that held me back from becoming an even better speaker was being able to. I can charge people up like nobody,
to say the least.
Yeah, thank you. But being able to emotionally connect with people is totally different than motivating them. It can still motivate them in some other ways, but like I feel like that's been my evolution as a speaker this year, is that we've been through a bunch with our family and the business and everything else the last 6-7 months, but it's made me more vulnerable. And now I open up and speak about those things when I speak. And dude, again, the amount of people that connect with that and that helps is powerful and cool.
I've connected to you the most, not of the screaming and all the great, like that's amazing, but like when you were on the stage, when you were crying, when you were hugging your family, when you're recognizing them, when you're vulnerable and soft, like these conversations right now that we're having, that's when you feel connected because you feel like you're being spoken to. Yeah. Not just a number.
It's good.
So I appreciate it.
Dude,
like
appreciate
you doing that.
Man. Thank you. That's awesome. I love it. Enjoy it. And love getting a chance to do this and get to you to share your story and everything you got going on. We didn't even get a chance to like teach insurance, but maybe we spoke to somebody's soul and coached somebody up and gave them belief in themselves. Maybe they thought of a bigger future for their life because of the vision that you've had at such a young age and what you've shared and how mature you are, what you've accomplished. If they want to learn more, stay connected, get in touch. We could keep talking for hours, by the way. This has been so good. We
might have to come back and do another one.
There we go. Part 2. What should they do? Do they text? Do they go to do they hit you on social? Do they email? Do they call? What do they do?
So you can reach out to me personally. Anybody that wants to reach out to Cody, or go straight to, it's Anthony A at the Lineage Legacy Group.com. You can email me there directly. You can also reach out to me on my social media. Me personally, it's Anthony Aach on Instagram. Just reach out. We're going to be here. I would love to hear from anybody that just wants to talk or look for something new.
Talking to Instagram while I'm talking to a podcast. Dude, I was just saying this
gotta maximize
freaking
it.
Awesome, bro. That's right. So it's Anthony Aach. I'm going to tag you on my Instagram right now for those that are going to go follow him. And if you're not following me on Instagram, you should be.
Make sure
Anthony
it's the right
dot Aach, right? The first one?
Yeah, that's it.
Boom. Shirt and tie, looking good. All right, cool. I'm going to tag him right now. Dude, I appreciate you. If you have questions, you want help, email him. I'm telling you, this cat can help you get to another level. I believe it. And also go follow him on IG. Reach out, get some information, and get some help. Dude, I appreciate you driving all the way up from Fayetteville to hang out and be on the Power Player podcast.
Thank you for having me. Really enjoying this.
Thanks, brother. What a great freaking episode. Thank you guys for hanging with us and listening to the Power Player podcast. If you enjoy this message, I want you to share it with somebody else that needs a boost, maybe a kick in the rear end, maybe just like, maybe they need to get motivated. Maybe they are like, you know what? Maybe somebody else is like kind of stubborn and has some pride and ego and they're arrogant. They don't think they can learn anything or need anybody or whatever, right? Maybe this message will help them today. So I appreciate you listening, and we'll see you on the next episode. Adios. Hey, if you enjoyed this, I got another one you're going to love. It's right there. Click on it. See you in there. I'm so excited for today's CA Power Player podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins. We got a special guest. He is back on the channel talking about how to sell life insurance from home. Here's what I love about this person. Yeah, I'm telling you, this will be one of the best.